Welcome, wanderers of the dark and seekers of the unknown, to Whispers on the Asphalt, your go-to channel for spine-tingling tales and haunted histories. Here, we explore the eerie corners of the world where shadows stretch longer than they should and the hum of tires on pavement is often accompanied by whispers from beyond. Today, we embark on a chilling journey along some of the most haunted highways in the Pacific Northwest, a region renowned for its breathtaking landscapes, dense forests, and a rich tapestry of folklore that blurs the line between myth and reality. Let the journey begin. The allure of the East Coast's eerie beacons lighthouses have long stood as sentinels along the rugged shores of the East Coast, their beams cutting through the darkness to guide mariners safely home. These towering structures are not just feats of engineering but symbols of resilience, solitude, and humanity's eternal struggle against the unforgiving sea. Yet, for all their noble purpose, many of these lighthouses harbor secrets that defy explanation, whispers of tragedy, echoes of despair, and shadows that refuse to be extinguished. Beneath their weathered exteriors lies a world steeped in mystery, where the line between the living and the dead blurs like the mist rolling in from the ocean. The East Coast is dotted with lighthouses that have earned reputations far beyond their navigational utility. From Maine's craggy cliffs to Florida's sandy shores, these beacons have borne witness to countless storms, shipwrecks, and untimely deaths. Each structure carries its own haunting history. Keepers who vanished without a trace, sailors whose final cries were swallowed by the waves, and families torn apart by isolation and madness. Over time, these stories have woven themselves into the fabric of local folklore, transforming lighthouses into magnets for those drawn to the supernatural. What makes these haunted lighthouses so compelling is not merely their spectral inhabitants, but the atmosphere they evoke. The howling winds, the ceaseless crash of waves, and the desolate beauty of their surroundings create an environment ripe for both wonder and terror. Visitors often speak of an oppressive stillness within their walls, broken only by inexplicable noises, a distant wail, the creak of unseen footsteps, or the faint tolling of a bell long silenced. It is this juxtaposition of serene isolation and creeping dread that captivates the imagination, inviting us to peer into the unknown. In this episode of our series, we delve deeper into the most haunted lighthouses on the East Coast, uncovering the chilling tales behind their storied pasts. Whether you're a skeptic seeking rational explanations or a believer eager to explore the paranormal, these lighthouses offer a glimpse into a realm where reality falters and the impossible becomes plausible. So, grab your lantern and brace yourself for a journey through shadow and light, where every flicker of the flame might reveal something, or someone, you weren't prepared to meet. The ghostly keeper of Cape Hatteras Lighthouse perched on the treacherous outer banks of North Carolina, the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse stands as a towering testament to human ingenuity and endurance. At 198 feet tall, it is the tallest brick lighthouse in the United States, its iconic black and white spiral pattern visible for miles across the windswept dunes. Built in 1870 to warn ships away from the perilous Diamond Shoals, the lighthouse has saved countless lives, but it has also claimed them. Its storied past is rife with tales of tragedy, none more haunting than the legend of Tobias Granger, the keeper whose restless spirit is said to haunt its spiral staircase. Tobias Granger served as the head keeper of the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse during the late 19th century, a period marked by relentless storms and frequent maritime disasters. A man of unwavering dedication, Granger was known for his tireless work ethic and deep connection to the sea. However, his devotion would ultimately lead to his undoing. On a particularly violent night in 1892, a massive hurricane battered the coast, threatening to extinguish the lighthouse's beacon. Determined to keep the light burning, Granger ventured out into the storm to secure the oil reserves stored in a nearby shed. Witnesses later recounted seeing him battling the gale-force winds, clutching a lantern as he disappeared into the chaos. He was never seen again. The following morning, search parties found no trace of Tobias Granger, save for his battered lantern half buried in the sand near the base of the lighthouse. His body was presumed lost to the sea, but locals whispered of something more sinister, that the storm had claimed not just his life but his soul, binding him eternally to the lighthouse he had sworn to protect. Decades later, reports began to surface of strange occurrences within the tower. Visitors and staff alike spoke of hearing heavy footsteps ascending the 268-step spiral staircase, even when no one else was present. Others described feeling a sudden drop in temperature accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread, as though an unseen presence lingered nearby. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a group of tourists who decided to climb the lighthouse at dusk. As they reached the top, they swore they saw a figure standing in the lantern room, silhouetted against the fading light. The man wore old-fashioned keeper's attire and appeared to be tending to the now electrified beacon. When approached, he vanished into thin air, leaving behind only the faint smell of salt water and kerosene. Similar sightings have been reported over the years, with some visitors claiming to feel a cold hand brush against their shoulder or hear a low, mournful whisper urging them to keep the light alive. Despite its haunted reputation, the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Guided tours offer visitors the chance to ascend its winding staircase and stand where Tobias Granger once kept vigil, though many report feeling an inexplicable urge to turn back before reaching the top. For those brave enough to make the climb, the experience is often described as both exhilarating and unsettling, a reminder of the fine line between duty and obsession, life and death. As we continue our exploration of haunted lighthouses, few places rival the eerie allure of Cape Hatteras. It serves as a poignant reminder that even the brightest lights can cast the darkest shadows, and that some spirits remain bound to their posts, guarding the shores long after their watch has ended. The phantom lantern of Portland Head Light nestled amidst the jagged rocks of Cape Elizabeth, Maine. The Portland Head Light stands as one of the oldest and most picturesque lighthouses on the East Coast. Commissioned by George Washington himself in 1791, this historic sentinel has guided countless ships through the hazardous waters of Casco Bay. But beneath its serene facade lies a tale of heartbreak and spectral persistence, the story of Abigail Stevens, the young woman whose phantom lantern continues to shine, defying both time and reason. Abigail Stevens' tragic story begins in the early 1800s, during a period when the lighthouse was still powered by whale oil lamps and tended by dedicated keepers. Her father, Captain Thomas Stevens, served as the head keeper of the Portland Head Light, raising his family in the adjacent keeper's cottage. Abigail, the eldest of 3 children, grew up surrounded by the rhythmic pulse of the ocean and the comforting glow of the lighthouse beam. She was known for her quiet determination and love of solitude, often spending hours alone on the rocky shore, sketching the horizon or reading by candlelight. Her life took a devastating turn in 1834 when her fiancé, a sailor named Nathaniel Cole, set sail aboard the merchant vessel Sea Dove. Promising to return within 6 months, Nathaniel left behind a silver locket engraved with their initials, a token of his devotion. But weeks turned into months, and the Sea Dove failed to appear. Rumors spread of a fierce storm that had ravaged the coastline, leaving no survivors. Heartbroken and desperate for answers, Abigail began nightly vigils atop the cliffs, clutching her lantern and scanning the horizon for any sign of Nathaniel's ship. One fateful evening, a violent nor'easter swept through the region, battering the lighthouse with hurricane-force winds. Determined to keep her vigil despite the danger, Abigail ventured out onto the rocks, her lantern held high against the driving rain. According to local legend, she spotted a faint light bobbing in the distance and ran toward it, believing it to be Nathaniel's signal. Tragically, her foot slipped on the slick stones, and she plunged into the churning surf below. Her body was recovered the next morning, her lantern still clutched tightly in her frozen hands. Since that night, sightings of Abigail's ghostly figure have become a fixture of Portland Head Light lore. Visitors recount seeing a young woman dressed in 19th-century clothing wandering the grounds, her face pale and eyes fixed on the horizon. Some claim to hear her soft sobs carried on the wind, while others report spotting a flickering light moving erratically along the shoreline, a spectral lantern searching for a ship that will never come. Most unsettling are the accounts from those who swear they've encountered Abigail inside the lighthouse itself. Guests staying overnight in the keeper's quarters often wake to find their belongings rearranged or feel an icy draft pass through the room, accompanied by the faint scent of seawater and burning oil. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Portland Head Light remains a beloved landmark, attracting thousands of tourists each year. the lighthouse's museum offers exhibits detailing its rich history, including tributes to Abigail Stevens and other keepers who dedicated their lives to safeguarding mariners. For those brave enough to visit after dark, the opportunity to encounter Abigail's lingering spirit adds an element of intrigue and melancholy. Many leave flowers or small tokens at the base of the cliffs, hoping to honor her memory and bring peace to her restless soul. As twilight descends over Casco Bay, casting the lighthouse in hues of amber and gold, it's easy to imagine Abigail still keeping her silent vigil, her lantern glowing softly against the encroaching darkness. Her story serves as a poignant reminder of love's enduring power, and the lengths to which the human heart will go to hold on to hope, even in the face of despair. The screams of Montauk Point Lighthouse at the easternmost tip of Long Island, where the Atlantic Ocean meets the crashing waves of Block Island Sound, stands the Montauk Point Lighthouse, a beacon of safety for sailors navigating the treacherous waters off New York's coast. Constructed in 1796 under the authorization of President George Washington, this historic structure has endured centuries of storms, shipwrecks, and shifting sands. Yet, for all its resilience, the lighthouse harbors a dark secret, one that echoes with the anguished screams of those who perished nearby. The origins of the haunting trace back to the infamous wreck of the HMS Culloden, a British warship that ran aground just offshore in 1781 during the American Revolutionary War. Tasked with intercepting French supply ships supporting the Continental Army, the Culloden instead met disaster when dense fog and strong currents drove it onto the rocky shoals. The crew scrambled to abandon ship, but many drowned in the frigid waters, their cries for help swallowed by the relentless surf. Local fishermen later reported hearing phantom screams emanating from the wreckage site, attributing them to the souls of the doomed sailors unable to find peace. Over the decades, the legend of the Culloden became intertwined with the Montauk Point Lighthouse, which was built less than 2 decades after the tragedy. Keepers assigned to the post claimed to hear eerie wails carried on the wind, especially during storms. They described the sound as bone-chillingly human, yet devoid of any visible source. Some believed the screams originated from the restless spirits of the Culloden's crew, forever trapped between worlds. Others speculated that the lighthouse's proximity to the wreck amplified the phenomenon, acting as a conduit for the unquiet dead. Modern-day visitors to Montauk Point Lighthouse have added their own accounts to the growing body of evidence. Tourists exploring the surrounding grounds often report hearing sudden bursts of agonized shouting, as if reliving the chaos of the shipwreck. One couple visiting the site at sunset swore they witnessed shadowy figures flailing in the shallows, their forms dissolving into mist as they approached. Another group conducting a nighttime photography session captured audio of what sounded like multiple voices pleading for rescue, despite the absence of boats or people nearby. Paranormal investigators have taken particular interest in the lighthouse's basement, an area rarely open to the public due to its association with disturbing phenomena. EMF meters routinely spike in this confined space, while thermal cameras detect sharp drops in temperature inconsistent with external conditions. During one investigation, researchers recorded a chilling EVP in which a male voice repeatedly muttered, "Help me!" followed by the sound of splashing water. Another team captured footage of a swirling vortex-like formation hovering near the ceiling, prompting speculation about a potential portal connecting the living and the dead. Adding to the lighthouse's haunted reputation are reports of poltergeist activity within the keeper's quarters. Guests staying overnight describe objects being hurled across rooms, doors slamming shut on their own, and beds shaking violently as though rocked by unseen hands. One family recounted waking up to find their suitcases strewn across the floor, their contents rifled through, as if searched by frantic intruders. Others claimed to see shadowy figures darting past windows or standing motionless in corners, their faces obscured by darkness. Despite, or perhaps because of, these unsettling occurrences, Montauk Point Lighthouse remains a popular tourist destination. Its rich history and stunning views draw crowds year-round, while its haunted reputation attracts thrill-seekers eager to test their courage. Guided tours offer glimpses into the daily lives of past keepers, including anecdotes about the spectral screams that punctuate the nights. For those daring enough to stay after hours, the promise of encountering the ghosts of the Culloden provides an irresistible allure. As the sun dips below the horizon and the lighthouse casts its beam across the restless sea, visitors cannot help but feel the weight of the tragedies that unfolded beneath its watchful gaze. The screams may belong to sailors long gone, but their echoes serve as a haunting reminder of nature's fury and humanity's fragility. In the shadow of Montauk Point Lighthouse, the boundary between past and present dissolves, leaving only the timeless call of the ocean and the unanswered cries of those lost to its depths. The vanishing keeper of Assateague Lighthouse on the windswept barrier islands of Virginia and Maryland lies the Assateague Lighthouse, a striking red and white beacon that has stood guard over the Chesapeake Bay since 1867. Surrounded by wild ponies, marshlands, and untamed wilderness, this remote lighthouse exudes an aura of isolation that seems almost otherworldly. Yet, its tranquil setting belies a haunting mystery, one tied to the enigmatic disappearance of its keeper, Benjamin Fletcher, whose vanishing act remains unsolved to this day. Benjamin Fletcher took up residence as the head keeper of Assateague Lighthouse in 1884, bringing with him his wife, Eleanor, and their 2 young children. Described as a meticulous and reserved man, Fletcher quickly earned a reputation for maintaining the lighthouse with unparalleled precision. His logs were immaculately detailed, chronicling every shift in weather, every maintenance task, and every sighting of passing vessels. Yet beneath his stoic exterior lay a man burdened by personal demons. Locals whispered of strained relations between Fletcher and his wife, exacerbated by the harsh realities of life on the isolated island. The constant roar of the surf and the oppressive solitude seemed to weigh heavily on him, though he rarely spoke of his struggles. On the night of October 12, 1889, a fierce nor'easter swept across the region, battering the lighthouse with relentless winds and torrential rain. According to Eleanor's testimony, Benjamin had been unusually agitated throughout the day, pacing the narrow confines of the keeper's quarters and muttering under his breath. As the storm intensified, he insisted on performing routine checks of the lantern room, despite the danger posed by the worsening conditions. Around midnight, Eleanor heard the door slam shut and assumed Benjamin had gone outside once more. When he failed to return by morning, she alerted the authorities, sparking a frantic search that yielded no trace of the missing keeper. What makes Fletcher's disappearance so perplexing is the lack of evidence pointing to foul play or accidental death. No footprints were found leading away from the lighthouse, and his boat remained securely docked. Even stranger, his meticulously kept logbook ended abruptly mid-sentence, as if he had simply vanished while writing. Theories abounded. Some speculated he had succumbed to madness and wandered into the marshes, while others suggested he had fallen victim to the legendary ghost ponies said to roam the island. However, the most chilling explanation came from Eleanor herself, who claimed to have seen her husband's spectral figure standing atop the lighthouse balcony days after his disappearance, staring blankly into the void. Decades later, reports of Benjamin Fletcher's ghost began surfacing among visitors and staff stationed at Assateague Lighthouse. Many describe encountering a gaunt figure clad in 19th-century keeper's attire, his expression hollow and detached. Some claim to hear faint footsteps echoing through the spiral staircase, accompanied by the rustle of paper and the scratch of pen against parchment, as though Fletcher is still dutifully recording entries in his logbook. Others recount feeling an overwhelming sense of unease near the lantern room, where the air grows unnaturally cold and the light flickers erratically without explanation. Paranormal investigators have documented numerous instances of unexplained activity within the lighthouse. Thermal imaging cameras reveal distinct cold spots near the balcony where Fletcher was last seen, while EMF detectors register significant fluctuations in electromagnetic energy. EVP recordings captured during overnight sessions include fragmented phrases such as, "I can't leave," and "The light must burn," believed to be Fletcher's desperate attempts to communicate from beyond the grave. Perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence emerged during a televised investigation, when a camera operator inadvertently filmed a translucent figure descending the staircase. Upon closer inspection, the apparition bore a striking resemblance to descriptions of Benjamin Fletcher. Adding to the mystery are the recurring sightings of a shadowy silhouette near the base of the lighthouse, often accompanied by the sound of labored breathing and muffled sobbing. Some interpret these manifestations as signs of Fletcher's unresolved torment, trapped between worlds by guilt or regret. Others speculate that his spirit remains bound to the lighthouse out of sheer habit, compelled to perform the duties he once cherished, even in death. Today, Assateague Lighthouse continues to operate as both a navigational aid and a historical landmark, drawing tourists eager to experience its haunting charm. For those brave enough to climb its 175 steps and stand where Fletcher once kept watch, the atmosphere is palpably eerie. Guides share tales of the vanishing keeper, while visitors recount their own encounters with inexplicable phenomena. Whether driven by curiosity or a desire to connect with the past, those who venture into the lighthouse's shadowy recesses cannot escape the lingering question: what truly happened to Benjamin Fletcher, and why does his spirit refuse to rest? As the waves crash against the shoreline and the wind whistles through the dunes, the Assateague Lighthouse stands as a silent witness to one of the East Coast's most enduring mysteries. Its beams may guide ships safely home, but they also illuminate the boundaries of the unknown, reminding us that some answers lie just beyond reach. The Lady in White of Cape May Lighthouse, perched at the southernmost tip of New Jersey. The Cape May Lighthouse has long been a symbol of maritime safety and architectural elegance. First lit in 1859, this iconic structure rises 157 feet above the Delaware Bay, its Fresnel lens guiding vessels through the treacherous waters where the bay meets the Atlantic Ocean. Yet, for all its grandeur, the lighthouse conceals a sorrowful secret, a tale of love, loss, and betrayal embodied by the ghostly figure known as the Lady in White. The legend of the Lady in White centers around Sarah Winslow, a young woman whose life intertwined tragically with the lighthouse in the late 1800s. Sarah hailed from a prominent family in Cape May, renowned for their wealth and influence. Despite her privileged upbringing, she fell deeply in love with Thomas Grayson, a humble fisherman whose modest means rendered him unsuitable in the eyes of her parents. Their clandestine romance blossomed under the cover of moonlit nights, often culminating in secret meetings near the lighthouse, which served as their secluded rendezvous point. Their idyllic affair came to a devastating end in 1875 when Sarah's father discovered their relationship and forbade her from seeing Thomas ever again. Heartbroken but defiant, Sarah continued to sneak out to meet him, donning a flowing white dress that shimmered like starlight against the darkened shore. One fateful evening, as she hurried toward the lighthouse, she stumbled upon a horrifying scene: Thomas lying lifeless on the beach, his body battered and bloodied. Rumors swirled that he had been attacked by pirates who frequented the area, though no conclusive evidence was ever found. Consumed by grief, Sarah collapsed beside his corpse, clutching his hand until dawn broke over the horizon. That same morning, Sarah's body was discovered mere yards away from Thomas's, her white gown stained crimson with blood. Authorities ruled her death a suicide, suggesting she had taken her own life in despair over losing the man she loved. However, whispers among locals hinted at darker possibilities: that Sarah had been murdered by those responsible for Thomas's demise, silencing her before she could expose their crimes. Regardless of the truth, her untimely death left an indelible mark on the lighthouse and its surroundings. Since then, sightings of the Lady in White have become a staple of Cape May Lighthouse lore. Visitors recount encountering a spectral figure clad in a luminous white dress, her face veiled in sorrow as she drifts silently along the pathways leading to the tower. Some claim to hear soft weeping carried on the breeze, while others describe feeling an inexplicable chill as they approach the base of the lighthouse. Most spine-chilling are the reports of Sarah appearing in the lantern room, her ethereal form illuminated by the glow of the beacon as she gazes out to sea, searching endlessly for her lost love. Paranormal investigators have conducted extensive studies at Cape May Lighthouse, capturing compelling evidence of its supernatural activity. Thermal cameras reveal cold spots concentrated near the lantern room and along the beach where Sarah and Thomas were found. EVP recordings feature faint voices murmuring phrases such as, "Wait for me," and "Never forget," believed to be Sarah's eternal plea to her beloved. One particularly unsettling discovery came during a live investigation broadcast online. Viewers watching the feed spotted a translucent figure standing at the edge of the cliffs, her arms outstretched as if reaching for someone unseen. Moments later, the image dissolved into static, leaving investigators baffled. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Cape May Lighthouse remains a cherished landmark, drawing thousands of tourists annually. Guided tours offer insights into its rich history, including tributes to Sarah Winslow and other figures whose lives intersected with the lighthouse. For those brave enough to visit after dark, the opportunity to encounter the Lady in White adds an element of poignancy and intrigue. Many leave flowers or small tokens at the base of the cliffs, hoping to honor Sarah's memory and bring peace to her restless soul. As twilight descends over the Delaware Bay, casting the lighthouse in hues of amber and gold, it's easy to imagine Sarah still keeping her silent vigil, her white gown billowing gently in the ocean breeze. Her story serves as a poignant reminder of love's enduring power, and the lengths to which the human heart will go to hold on to hope, even in the face of despair. At Cape May Lighthouse, the boundary between past and present dissolves, leaving only the timeless call of the sea and the unanswered cries of a woman who refuses to let go. Dear reader, as we bring this journey through the haunted lighthouses of the East Coast to a close, I hope you've felt the same spine-tingling allure that has drawn countless souls to these spectral sentinels. These stories are more than just campfire tales or urban legends. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the unrelenting passage of time. Each creaking staircase, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of these haunted lighthouses yourself. Climb the same spiral stairs where spirits are said to roam, stand in the lantern rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these lighthouses offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond the veil. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint strains of music in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted lighthouses, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.